Have you ever noticed that the harder you try to stay in someone's mind, the quicker they seem to forget you? You send the message, you show up, you give all your energy, hoping to be remembered, yet your presence starts to feel ordinary, like background noise. Here's the truth, no one tells you. People don't miss what is always there. The more you chase, the more invisible you become. But when you learn the Stoic way of holding back, when you master silence, discipline, and the strength of absence, suddenly your presence begins to carry weight. They can't ignore you. They can't escape the thought of you. The question is, are you strong enough to stop giving and start letting them feel your absence? Because that's when they'll finally miss you, deeply, painfully, inevitably. There is a strange paradox when it comes to attention. The more we give it, the less it is valued. Think of something you see every day, a sunrise, for example. It is one of the most breathtaking sights in the world, yet because it happens every morning, many walk past it without noticing. The same is true in relationships. When your presence is constant and your attention unending, it becomes ordinary. And what is ordinary rarely sparks longing. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself not to cling to things outside of his control. When you constantly pour out your energy in the hope of being remembered, you are placing your peace of mind in someone else's hands. You're saying, I will only feel worthy if they respond. But a Stoic sees through this trap. Value is not proven by how much attention you can force. Value is proven by how little you need to force anything at all. Imagine water. When a flood comes, it overwhelms everything in its path, but it also destroys and leaves behind a mess. When water is scarce, however, each drop becomes precious. Your attention works the same way. If you hand it out without pause, people get used to it. If you know when to hold it back, suddenly your presence becomes something they notice and seek. The paradox of attention is this: to be remembered, you cannot always be present. To be valued, you cannot always be available. Those who try too hard to be unforgettable often become forgettable. Those who learn the discipline of restraint are the ones who linger in the minds of others long after they've stepped away. Desire is a powerful force, but when left unchecked, it weakens us. The Stoics warned against being ruled by it, because the moment your happiness depends on what someone else gives or withholds, you become their servant. Epictetus said that freedom is found not in getting what you want, but in wanting less. This is not a call to suppress your feelings, it is a call to master them. Think about what happens when you crave someone's attention. Every silence feels unbearable. Every delayed reply stings. You begin to act out of fear rather than strength. The more you desire, the less control you have. And when people sense that you are desperate for their presence, they instinctively pull away. Why? Because desperation is heavy, while calm self-sufficiency is magnetic. The Stoics believed that desire should never be the captain of your soul. When you desire without measure, you chain yourself. But when you step back, when you say to yourself, I can be whole even without this person, a shift occurs. You are no longer clinging. You are no longer begging. You are simply standing firm. And people notice that. Consider a fire. If you smother it with too much wood too quickly, you suffocate it. But if you feed it slowly, carefully, it burns steady and strong. In the same way, overwhelming someone with constant desire often extinguishes their interest. But when you show that your flame burns steadily on its own, they are drawn to it. To make someone miss you, you must first show that you are not enslaved by wanting them. The more you can master your desire, the more space you create for them to feel their own. Silence is one of the most overlooked forms of strength. In a world where everyone is rushing to speak, to explain, to prove themselves, the one who can remain quiet often has the greatest influence. Seneca wrote that the wise person is slow to speak but quick to act. Silence is not weakness, it is discipline. It leaves space for others to wonder, to think, to question. And in that wondering, your presence grows stronger in their mind. When you respond instantly to every word, when you explain every thought, you remove the mystery. You hand over all your cards. But when you hold your tongue, you create space. Silence forces the other person to sit with their own thoughts. They begin to fill the gaps you leave, and in those gaps, longing is born. Think about the difference between music and noise. A song is not just a stream of constant sound, it is the spaces between notes that create rhythm and beauty. In the same way, silence is not an absence of connection, but the very shape that gives connection meaning. If you are always talking, always posting, always available, there is no rhythm. But if you choose your moments, your words carry more weight. In modern life, this principle is even more powerful. When you withdraw from social media, when you stop broadcasting every detail, people notice. They wonder where you are, what you're doing, why you're not saying anything. That curiosity pulls them toward you. Your silence becomes louder than words ever could. To make someone miss you, learn to master the art of restraint. Do not rush to fill every silence. Do not fear the quiet. The less you say, the more they will listen. The less you reveal, the more they will think of you. Absence has a strange power. It sharpens love in ways presence cannot. When you step back, even briefly, you allow others to feel the weight of your missing. The Stoics often practiced voluntary withdrawal, not because they hated people, but because they knew the soul grows stronger when it is not constantly entangled. Seneca advised periods of solitude, for in solitude we regain our balance. And when you return, your presence is felt with new clarity. Think of a favorite meal. If you eat it every day, its taste fades into routine. But if you go without it for a time, the first bite feels extraordinary. Human connection works the same way. Without absence, presence loses its savor. With absence, presence regains its strength. Many fear stepping back. They believe that constant closeness is the only way to keep from being forgotten. Yet this fear produces the very result they dread. Overexposure breeds indifference. Distance creates appreciation. To be truly missed, you must give people the chance to feel what life is like without you. History offers countless examples. Great leaders were remembered not only for what they said, but also for their ability to retreat, to leave their followers longing for more. Philosophers often spent time away in reflection, and their return carried greater weight because of their absence. Even friendships deepen when there is space to breathe. When you remove yourself, even for a while, you are not breaking a bond. You are strengthening it. Your absence becomes a mirror in which others see your value more clearly. The heart does not awaken through constant closeness, it awakens through contrast. And it is in that space, that silence, that distance, where longing is born. One of the greatest Stoic lessons is to separate what is within your control from what is not. Epictetus reminded his students that peace comes when you no longer waste energy trying to bend the world to your will. The same truth applies to the desire to be missed. You cannot force someone to long for you. You cannot control the thoughts that pass through their mind or the emotions that rise in their heart, but you can control how you show up, how you hold back, and how you carry yourself with dignity. When you spend your days chasing, begging, or over-explaining, you are wrestling with what is beyond your reach. This struggle only leaves you weaker. But when you release the need to control the other person's response, you reclaim your strength. Ironically, this is when you become most magnetic. The more you demand to be remembered, the more people resist. The more you let go, the freer you appear. And freedom is deeply attractive. Think of a bird perched on your hand. If you grip it tightly, it will fight to escape. But if your hand is open, the bird may stay of its own choice. In the same way, clinging suffocates. Space invites return. The Stoic approach is not cold indifference, but calm acceptance. It is the wisdom of knowing that your effort ends with your actions, not their reactions. If you choose your words wisely, if you create space for absence, if you live with strength and purpose, the rest is beyond you. And because it is beyond you, you can release it. When you release control, you stop chasing. And when you stop chasing, you give others the space to feel the natural pull of missing you. This is not manipulation. It is simply the natural rhythm of human connection, discovered through the discipline of letting go. The person who needs the least is often the one who is valued the most. The Stoics called this self-sufficiency. Epictetus taught that wealth is not found in piling up possessions, but in learning to live with few wants. This principle applies to relationships just as much as it does to material things. If your happiness depends entirely on another's presence, you hand over your power. But if you can stand alone, rooted in your own strength, people will feel it and they will miss it when it's gone. Think of two kinds of travelers. One carries only what is necessary, moving with ease, calm, and freedom. The other is burdened with bags, weighed down, constantly worried about losing something. Which one do you admire more? Which one seems more unshakable? The same difference exists between a person who is whole on their own and one who clings desperately to others for meaning. When you live with a sense of fullness that does not depend on anyone else, you become rare, and rarity draws attention. People are drawn to those who are not needy, who are not restless, who do not demand constant reassurance. They are drawn to those who radiate calm, who can walk away without losing themselves. That calm is unforgettable. This doesn't mean isolation or rejection of connection. It means learning to be content, whether someone is by your side or not. It means enjoying company without needing it to survive. The paradox is that the more self-sufficient you are, the more others will want to be near you. They will sense that your presence is a gift, not a plea. To make someone miss you, you must first show them that you do not need them to complete you. When they see your wholeness, your absence will echo. They will miss not a dependent shadow, but the steady flame of a soul that shines on its own. Availability feels like kindness, but when it becomes constant, it quietly erodes respect. People lose sight of your value when they know you will always say yes, always answer, always show up at their call. The Stoics warned against this kind of slavery to others' demands. True generosity is not about exhausting yourself to please everyone. It is about giving wisely, with balance, in a way that preserves your dignity. Consider water again. A river that flows endlessly without pause can easily be taken for granted, even polluted. But a spring that appears in certain seasons, or a well that requires effort to draw from, is cherished. The difference lies not in the water itself, but in the boundaries around it. Your time and energy are no different. Without limits, they lose meaning. With limits, they become precious. Many relationships weaken, not because love disappears, but because boundaries were never drawn. If you are always available, others stop reaching for you. They stop noticing your effort because it becomes expected. But when you protect your time, when you say no sometimes, when you step back, they begin to feel the difference. They begin to notice what life is like when you are not always within reach. The Stoic way is not to harden your heart or cut people off, but to live with measure. Offer your presence, but do not smother. Say yes, but not to everything. Leave space for others to feel your absence. In that space, respect grows, and from respect comes longing. If you want to be missed, you cannot live as though you are always on call. Respect is born in distance, and desire grows when access is limited. The more wisely you guard your availability, the more deeply others will value the moments you choose to give. Withholding is often misunderstood. Many confuse it with manipulation, as if the goal is to play games or punish someone by pulling away. But in the Stoic sense, withholding is not about deceit, it is about discipline. It is the choice to give with intention instead of spilling yourself endlessly until your presence becomes ordinary. By holding back, you protect your value. By choosing your moments carefully, you allow others the chance to truly feel your absence. Think about a storyteller. The best stories do not reveal everything at once. They build slowly, offering glimpses, holding back just enough to keep the listener leaning forward. If a tale rushes through every detail, it loses its magic. Your presence works the same way. When you give all of yourself without pause, people grow numb to it. But when you know how to hold back, you create anticipation. You give others a reason to miss what they cannot always have. This practice is not about coldness, but about rhythm. Too much presence all at once can overwhelm, just as too much sweetness ruins a meal. By giving and withholding in balance, you allow connection to breathe. That breathing space is where longing grows. Consider also how nature works. The seasons withdraw and return. The moon waxes and wanes. Even the sun disappears each night so that its rise can be greeted with wonder. Nothing in nature is constant exposure, and yet everything returns with greater meaning after absence. So it is with us. To make someone miss you, you must resist the urge to hand yourself over completely. You must learn the art of holding back, not to control them, but to respect yourself. What you withhold becomes the space where they begin to crave more of you. And that craving is the seed of missing you. Indifference is often mistaken for not caring, but in Stoic thought it is about freedom. The one who is not shaken by praise or insult holds a power that others cannot ignore. When you respond with calm, without clinging to approval or flinching from criticism, you become harder to read. And what cannot be easily read cannot be easily forgotten. The Stoics practiced this discipline daily. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that both flattery and blame were nothing more than passing sounds carried by the wind. If you live for praise, you hand others the keys to your peace. If you crumble under insult, you show that their words rule you. But if you remain steady, people begin to wonder about you. They feel something different, a kind of strength that cannot be bent. In relationships, this indifference becomes a mirror. When someone expects you to chase after them to seek reassurance, and you do not, they are forced to confront their own feelings. Your calm silence does not push them away. It turns their attention inward. They start asking themselves why your presence feels so steady, why your absence feels so heavy. Think of a lake with still waters. When you look into it, you see your own reflection. When someone looks into you and finds no frantic emotion, only calm indifference, they are confronted with themselves. That confrontation creates depth, and in that depth, they begin to miss the stability you embody. Indifference does not mean you lack care. It means you care rightly, enough to love without clinging, enough to step back without fear. This balance unsettles those who are used to control. It makes them curious, and curiosity is the root of longing. To be missed, you do not need to shout. You only need to remain unmoved, like a rock that stands still while the waves crash against it. Respect and longing are often born in distance. When you are always at hand, always available, people forget to value what you bring. But when you step back, when you create space between yourself and others, they are forced to see you differently. The Stoics knew this well. Even in their time, the philosophers and leaders who commanded the most respect were those who were not endlessly accessible. Their words carried weight because they were not scattered cheaply. Their presence mattered because it was not constant. Consider a king who walks among the people every hour of every day. At first, they might be impressed, but soon his presence becomes common and his crown loses its meaning. Now imagine that same king appearing rarely with intention at important moments. His image becomes unforgettable. His absence is felt, and his presence is revered. The difference lies not in who he is, but in how he measures his nearness. In daily life, you can see the same truth. A friend who is always there, always answering, always offering themselves, may be loved, but they are not missed. Their presence is taken as a given. But the friend who creates space, who has their own rhythm, who is not always easy to reach, that is the friend who lingers in your mind when they are gone. Distance does not weaken connection when it is balanced with respect. It strengthens it. It draws lines that say, I value myself, and I expect you to value me too. When others see that you honor yourself enough to hold space, they learn to honor you as well. If you want to be missed, you cannot give yourself away at every moment. Protect your presence by guarding your distance. Respect grows not from constant closeness, but from the careful measure of absence. It is through this distance that others come to see your worth more clearly. Patience is a quiet kind of power. In a world where people expect instant responses and immediate gratification, the person who can wait stands apart. The Stoics often spoke of time as a force that reveals truth. Nothing lasting can be rushed, and longing itself needs space to grow. If you want someone to miss you, you must allow time to do its work. Think of fruit on a tree. If you pull it down before it is ripe, it tastes bitter. But if you let it hang, if you allow the sun and air to touch it, it becomes sweet on its own. The same principle applies to human relationships. Chasing, pressing, and demanding only sour the bond. Waiting, stepping back, and allowing silence to stretch gives the other person room to feel the natural sweetness of missing you. Most people rush because they are afraid that if they don't act quickly, they will be forgotten. But this fear pushes the very thing they hope to avoid. Constant reminders of your presence don't keep you in someone's mind, they make you ordinary. Patience, however, works differently. When you are willing to wait, when you are unafraid of distance, people sense your calm strength. They notice your absence in ways they never would if you were always there. The Stoics practiced this in their own discipline. They taught that you cannot control the pace of the world, only your response to it, and your response should be steady. If someone is meant to feel your absence, they will. If they are not, no amount of chasing will change it. Patience gives clarity. It shows you who truly values you. To make someone miss you, you do not need to rush into their mind. You only need to wait. The more still you remain, the more space-time has to work in your favor. And when the moment comes, they will feel your absence not as emptiness, but as a hunger they can no longer ignore. Emotions are powerful, but without discipline, they can ruin you. How many times have you seen someone destroy their own dignity by sending a flood of messages, begging for attention, or reacting in anger when ignored? These are natural impulses, but the Stoics warned that living by impulse makes you a slave. To be remembered, to be missed, you must learn to master your emotions instead of being mastered by them. Seneca wrote that the greatest victory is over the self. It is easy to conquer others with words or actions, but the real triumph is when you conquer your own urges. When someone pulls away from you, your emotions scream for you to chase. When they fall silent, your fear tells you to fill the gap with noise. But a Stoic refuses. A Stoic breathes, pauses, and acts with reason. That pause is what separates dignity from desperation. Imagine two lovers. One receives silence and answers with frantic calls, pleading words, endless explanations. The other receives the same silence but responds with calm, continuing to live fully, to walk steadily. Which one is remembered? Which one seems more valuable? The answer is clear. The one who controls their emotions creates an impression that lasts. This discipline is not cold detachment, it is strength. It says, I care, but I am not ruled by fear. I feel, but I am not undone by feeling. People cannot forget the presence of someone who remains steady when others would collapse. That steadiness creates respect. And respect is the soil in which longing grows. To make someone miss you, learn to master the storm within. Do not act from panic. Do not flood them with your fear. Instead, hold yourself with calm. The less you let emotion dictate your steps, the more powerful your absence becomes. And it is power, not pleading, that leaves a lasting mark in the memory of others. The final and most difficult lesson is learning how to walk away. The Stoics understood that the one who can lose nothing is the one who holds true power. Epictetus said that if you wish to be invincible, you must need nothing outside yourself. In relationships, this truth is sharp. If you can leave with grace, if you can endure absence without breaking, you become unforgettable. Clinging makes you common. The world is full of people who beg to stay, who plead not to be left behind. But how many do you know who can walk away without bitterness, without theatrics, with calm strength? That image lingers. That presence is missed. People remember not the one who begged to remain, but the one who had the courage to leave with dignity. Imagine two scenes. In the first, someone is left behind and they collapse, crying, chasing, sending endless messages. In the second, someone is left behind and they breathe deeply, thank the other for the time shared, and then step forward into life without hesitation. Which person will live on in memory? Which absence will be felt more? The answer is obvious. To walk away is not to stop caring. It is to show that your value does not depend on being chosen. It is to remind both yourself and others that your worth stands even when no one else affirms it. This is the heart of Stoic strength. Freedom from needing what is not within your control. If you wish to be missed, you must be willing not to be. If you can hold yourself steady in solitude, others will feel the weight of your absence far more than if you tried to force your presence. Walking away does not erase you. It engraves you deeper because you have proven what few dare to prove, that you are whole on your own. We began with a paradox. The more you chase someone's attention, the less they notice you. The Stoics saw this clearly. Value is born not from desperation, but from restraint. To make others miss you, you do not press harder. You pull back with dignity. You learn that absence, not constant presence, creates longing. We explored how silence carries weight where words often fail, how desire must be mastered instead of obeyed, and how patience allows others to feel your absence more deeply. We saw that constant availability dulls respect, while measured distance sharpens it. And we understood that true strength lies in self-sufficiency, the kind that says, I am whole whether you are near or far. These principles are not about tricks or games. They are about returning to your own center, about living in such a way that your presence is a choice, not a demand. When you practice discipline over emotion, when you let go of control, when you hold yourself with calm indifference, you create a kind of mystery that lingers. Others feel it. They remember it. They miss it when it's gone. The deepest lesson is this. To be missed, you must be willing to stand alone. The one who can walk away with grace, who can love without clinging, is the one who cannot be erased from memory. Your absence speaks louder than your words because it reminds others of the strength you carry within. So do not fear stepping back. Do not fear the quiet, the distance, or even the possibility of being forgotten. Instead, live with such dignity and restraint that forgetting you becomes impossible. That is the Stoic way. That is how you are truly missed. If this message brought you clarity, subscribe for more Stoic wisdom you can carry into your daily life.